Hello, my dear friends and fellow developers. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to continue our journey in which we are discussing different topics related to our LWC framework. In our last sessions, we have discussed about like what is Shadow DOM and how it actually works in our LWC framework. We have also seen different use cases, different scenarios, how Shadow DOM, Shadow Tree, Shadow Root, Shadow Boundary, all these things work and behave. So far it works good because that's how our LWC framework has been built. But there is one more concept known as light DOM, and in our today's session we will discuss the same, like what is light DOM and how it is used and why it is used. So the LWC framework enforces shadow DOM on every component, which we already discussed in our previous videos. So what it does is like it basically poses some challenges to our third-party integration and global styling. As we know that Shadow DOM basically encapsulates a component in an containerization. So basically it doesn't allow to have third party integrations or to apply global styling. So that is one drawback of using Shadow DOM. So for that purpose, the light DOM has been introduced. So basically it is used to avoid this limitation which is imposed by our Shadow DOM. So basically, here we have one example in our right hand side. Basically, in my app, we have some tags named as my header and hello world. So as we already know that Shadow DOM works on containerization. So basically, what it does like this P tab will be in one shadow root and shadow boundary, so that the outer component, which is my header or let's suppose my app, which is the parent container, it doesn't have access to this inside containers or inside components. So this is one of the drawback. So now what basically Lightroom does? So Lightroom basically what it does, it attaches the component to the host element instead of shadow tree. So now here this p tag, for example, in which we have hello world. So basically it is tagged with my header, which is the root, or you can say shadow root for this purpose. But it is not tagging it with my app, right, which is the host element. So with the help of light dom, basically it attaches the our elements or our tags with our host element or host tag. This is one of the advantages of light dom. So now what it does is like it can be accessed like any other components in the document host, providing similar behaviors and content that's not bound by the shadow dom. So basically light dom is basically introduced so that these all limitations, which is third party integration, global styling, can be reduced or you can say mitigated, and then we will use it our day-to-day life, or you can say as per the need basis and the use case scenario. So, what are some of the advantages of using Light DOM? So, as we already discussed, that CSS theming and branding. So, basically, with the help of Light DOM, you can have one global branding. Like, let's suppose if you have many LWC component and you are working for some client or some generic global purpose solutions you are trying to build. So, in that case, the branding comes into picture where they want to have the similar theme everywhere. So, Light DOM can be used over there. Then third party tooling and testing. So basically with the help of Lightroom, you can have third party tooling and integrations with your LWC component, which supports query selector and query selector all. So without traversing the shadow route, so you do not have to traverse it. So that's one of the advantages. The third thing is like accessibility. So Light DOM doesn't scope IDs and enables two separate components to reference an ID to the other. So basically this is one of the concept like scope IDs, which we will discuss in our later chapter. But for now, we will say that with the help of Light DOM, we will have the accessibility also. But there are some things which are not available in our Light DOM, like restricting Light DOM to specific namespace is not supported. So namespacing is not supported over here. And our Light DOM are never invoked when we are working with slots. So this is one of the limitation that in Light DOM we do not support namespaces, and lifecycle loop on slots are never invoked when we are working on Light DOM. So these are some of the key points which we need to know and remember when we are working with Shadow DOM. So now let's see an example how we can enable Light DOM and use it in our LWC component. So for that purpose, there is one special identifier named as render mode that has to be used in our JS file with the static keyword. So in our JS file, the syntax will like static render mode is equal to light. So by default in our LWC, the default value is shadow, so that has to be changed with light. Now this is one part which we need to do in our JS file. Now, but in our HTML file, to use the light DOM, we need to use one property named as LWC render mode, and that has to be mapped to the root tab, or you can say our template directive over here, like LWC render mode light. So until unless you meet these two criteria, light DOM will not be enabled, and you will not be able to access the light DOM in your LWC component. But here is one major thing which we need to know, like this render mode, it only initializes and its value before the LWC initialization lifecycle hook. So what it means, like before rendering whatever value you have given, like render mode is equal to light, so your component will be rendered in light mode only. But let's suppose during runtime or during later point of time you modify this value, so that will not have any impact on your LWC component which has been rendered to our web browser. This is one key point, that whatever mode you will specify, render mode, so the initial value whatever you will give, either light or shadow, which is by default it will take if you do not specify render mode. So then what it will do, it will use that property only and then execute as per the need basis, or as per you have mentioned in your LWC framework. So yeah, that's pretty much for today. That's what we can say, how we can use light dom, and what are some of the advantages why light dom comes into picture, because of some limitations like third party integrations and global styling. So I hope that I was able to explain what is light dom and how we can enable it in our LWC framework. If you like my content, please like my videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Signing off.